Agenda item 7.1. It is a discussion paper on trade data availability for spices and culinary herbs. In fact, still there is a persistent lack of disaggregated trade data for spices and culinary herbs continues to hinder progress in the development of both individual and group standards and has been a recurring challenge discussed at every session of the CCSCH. In every session of that, we face this lack of data of disaggregated trade, spices and culinary herbs, as the Codex requirements according to the Codex procedural manual. Proposals for new work must include information on production, consumption, and trade patterns, and the trade of the provided uh, products. And because of the lack of data and trade data documented, especially for herbs and culinary spices and culinary herbs, there is no possibility to put this standard for every 109 types of spices and culinary herbs as determined by the committee in the beginning of the work. That's why the SCH accepted the proposal from USA to prepare a discussion paper on SCH about the availability of the data of the trade of spices and herbs, and for the purpose is to facilitate to put future standards by treating the limitation that have obstructed progress. Consequently, the states participating are invited to consider the discussion paper prepared by the USA and specifically the following areas in order to put the most important the standards and development of standards across the 109 identified SCH items. First, to focus on developing group standards, starting with those groups that already include several standardized products that were standardized or put standard for each group standard. There should be ensuring of enough information availability, especially in Annex 1, chemical and physical characteristics, and Annex 2, methods of analysis and sampling. Work process in response to the proposed work proposals for SCH in 2024. The USA prepared a discussion paper addressing the main barriers to accessing reliable disaggregated trade data for spices and culinary herbs. Also, it highlights the impact of these data gaps on the committee's ability to prioritize and develop international standards in line with its mandate. Also, in regard to experience and involvement, the USA based its input on the committee's past challenges and outcomes that it faced the committee. It also drew from its leadership in the CCSH Priorities Working Group to guide recommendations that are realistic and implementable. The U.S. propositions and recommendations. In regard to recommendations and propositions of U.S., the paper recommends adapting Codex priorities to reflect the realities of SCH trade. On the ground or trade level, a key proposal includes shifting toward a group standard development where data is more accessible and work on advance more efficiently. Now we will discuss the main factors and challenges as stated by USA that were identified in regard to the availability of data. First, characteristics of the SCH sector. SCH trade is one of the oldest global trade, often informal and under-recorded. Production mainly by smallholders in developing countries with limited record keeping. They don't focus on, the small holders to put records of production and the information that are needed. Trade often involves intermediaries who keep temporary or no records. As we can see here, they preserve that for financial treatments. Trade often involves all of that. Conversion from fresh to dried SCH is not documented. Many SCH are region specific and informally traded, and they are under limited control by the government. The SCH have high value but low in volume, making trade harder to quantify. Usually, the available data are misleading. The next item is growing global demand of SCH. We see the global consumption of SCH is expanding beyond the traditional markets. We see by that international standards are increasingly needed for safety and trade facilitation. It is expected that the market projected to grow from 3.22 billion USDs in 2025 to with a CAGR 12.3% between 2025 and 2029. And that leads to an increase of market value of 5.12 billion USDs by 2029. Next item, Codex data requirement. As we have indicated previously, that Codex procedural manual requires volume of production and consumption and also trade data. The products that need to have specific standards. This is difficult to meet for SCH due to informal trade and limited official data. Next item, lack of reliable data. The SCH specific data missing. Most countries aggregate SCH data under general headings, spices and culinary herbs collectively, not separately. Lack of international trade data as collected by the United Nations FAO or FAO stat gaps, and they don't cover the FAO that does not cover many SCH or provides incomplete data. The next item, the informal or unrecorded trade of SCH as determined for several products. There are no determined codes, but only there is 41 product only with custom recorded data among 109 products. That means 60% of the products lack the defined custom code. There is dependence or reliance on the codes which suffer from the lack of presence of these codes. Next item, is the informal and unrecorded trade. Much of the SCH trade is informal, not reflected in national or international statistics. Online trade, for example, 1.2 billion retail units sold in 2020 is often unrecorded. Physical characteristics of dried SCH. Drying reduces SCH mass 65 to 90%, leading to underrepresentation in volume-based trade metrics. Lightweight and dried form of SCH often lead to underreporting in trade statistics. Strict adherence to Codex data requirements may prevent standardization of most SCH. This affects rural producers, importers, and consumers depend on SCH trade. Also, the incomplete data risks stalling Codex efforts to develop necessary safety standards. And finally, we come to the analysis. The paper provides a comprehensive examination of the structural, technical, and practical challenges facing SCH data collection and reporting. The unique characteristics of SCH production and trade, including informality, smallholder dominance, and the regional specificity, significantly hinder the availability of accurate and disaggregated data. Despite a growing global demand of SCH, most trade data remain underreported or aggregated under broad categories like spices or culinary herbs, making it unsuitable for Codex requirements, which request cleared and documented data about the product to be traded. Existing international data sources such as FAO, STAT, and trade classification system such as the harmonized system codes do not adequately reflect the diversity of the SCH commodities in international trade. As a result, strict adherence to Codex current data requirements may restrict or delay the development of essential standards, undermining the committee's goal of standardizing SCH for global markets. The paper supports the need to adapt Codex processes to better align with the realities of SCH trade. This may include a shift toward the group standard development. SCH. Thank you very much.